Hi everybody, Marty Rubin here, and I'm back for another segment of Marty's Corner. And today we are very excited. We have Tony Award nominated, Long Island's own Joe Iconis.
Hey.
It's so great for you to have you here at the Argyle Theater.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been having a great time.
Oh, it's awesome. When you were growing up as a youngster on Long Island,
Yep.
could you have ever imagined that someday you were going to bring the world premiere of Punk Rock Girl to a Long Island theater like the Argyle Theater?
No. I mean, I grew up in Garden City, and I have a really amazing, supportive family. I have a big Italian family. But nobody in my family is in the arts in any way, and no one, no one is in entertainment or anything like that.
Right.
And so, when I was a kid dreaming of being involved in theater, it really did feel like a dream. It really did feel like, I don't know how people do this. It was like there was no path, And so I sort of like fantasized about writing shows and having them in theaters, and
It's a reality now.
and it's reality now. Yeah, we're like sitting on the stage at my show. It's truly surreal. It never stops being surreal.
That's awesome. Could you tell us what the premise of Punk Rock Girl is, and what inspired you to get involved in this project?
Yeah, for sure. So Punk Rock Girl is a musical about this 16-year-old named Angela Quivers who lives in Forest Hills, Queens. And she's someone who's really buttoned up. She loves math. She's kind of uncomfortable dealing with other people. And through a series of events, she meets this wild punk rock chick named Proxy. And Angela and Proxy develop this kind of unlikely friendship, and Angela ends up essentially building an illegal punk club in a basement of this place she works in Queens. And it's, basically the whole show is about kind of like finding your tribe. It's about learning to accept the differences in other people and celebrate them. And the whole thing is told through songs that were made famous by female rock and rollers.
Yes, yes. When I think of you, Joe, I think of you as an outside the box thinker. Okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you a baseball fan by any chance?
I'm not. No,
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I'm going to
not
give you a
sports guy,
baseball analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then tie it into the way I see you work.
Okay.
So in baseball, for many years, teams would put the 9 position players in the same exact spot on the field. Okay. Up until a few years ago, suddenly, an outside the box baseball person said, you know what? If we load everybody up and shift everybody to one side where the batter's going to hit the ball, we'll be better off. I look at you that way, that you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a show and have the songs from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, but the characters are going to get to sing it in the, for them, and it means something to them, to their character.
Yeah.
And the way you're doing storytelling, you come from a different angle, but it makes the show so fresh. Do you see the comparison?
I do. I definitely do. Yeah, and thank you for explaining it to me, because I wouldn't have known what the hell you were talking about if you didn't. But it's just kind of the way, it's the way that I look at things, and it's the way that I kind of see the world. I feel like I sort of see the world like slightly skewed,
Right.
and that can't help but come out in my work. And a lot of times, when I'm writing something, whether it's a song or a full musical, what I'm trying to do is give an audience a different perspective on a situation or a character or a person that they think they know.
Yes.
It's like looking at something from a slightly different angle in
Right.
the hopes that you relate to something in this person or this story that you never thought you'd relate to.
Right, it's nice. A lot of your fans know you from Be More Chill.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole phenomenon, if I could just ask you, Be More Chill, you wrote the music, it went viral, it became a Broadway show. How did that all come about?
Yeah, I mean, Be More Chill was a show that, like anything, it was a show that I wanted to write because I really responded to the characters. The late, great Ned Vizzini wrote this book, Be More Chill, and I read it, and I liked it a lot, and I thought, this would make a good musical, and so, I just kind of set about writing it in the way that I have with everything, where I thought a lot about the vibe, about the characters, the people who populate the story, and we premiered it at Two River Theater in New Jersey in 2015, and everyone hoped that it was going to go on, to have another life after that theater, and that didn't happen. And the fact that 2 years later, our cast recording exploded, you know, for no reason. Like it was totally organic. It really, it's something that, even though it's so weird because, you know, it's my show, like I was obviously involved in it, but it like gives me hope because it's something that I just never in a million years thought was possible because it's not something that ever happened before.
Right.
You know, and so the fact that it was totally organic, the fact that it was actual human beings who were listening to the music from the show and responding to it and digging it, the fact that that is the thing that made it, you know, go to New York City and go to Broadway and London's West End and we're gonna do a movie and like that is like the thing that I'm proudest of. That it's actual people.
So cool.
You know?
Yeah, you know, we're sitting on the stage of Punk Rock Girl.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the walls and there's writing on the walls and I was reading a story that there's something behind this writing, you know, on the wall. Could you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, for sure. So our amazing set designer, Nate Bertoni, he thought that it would be really, really cool to kind of have the set be a reflection of actual people out there in the world who dig my work, who dig the work of Rob Rokicki, who's our amazing musical arranger, and who just kind of dig musical theater in general. So he put out this call on social media and said, you know, the set of Punk Rock Girl is going to be graffitied, and we're going to have like lots of, you know, sort of like doodles from people's notebooks, and instead of, you know, Nate was like, instead of me, you know, doing fake doodles myself, send me your doodles, send me pages out of your high school notebooks, out of your current notebooks. And we didn't know if anyone would respond, and we got such an overwhelming amount of responses from all over the world. Like it's like math homework from Brazil on this set.
That's
and there's,
so great.
You know, and family members of people who are in the show, and you know, and me, and like there's it's so cool to sort of look on this, you know, on the stage and know like, oh, so many different types of human beings are represented on the literal set that we're
the outside of the box thinking that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
for sure.
It feels right. But it's like, I think it's like outside of the box, but I think it feels like warm and homey.
Oh, yeah,
you know, it's
no
like
doubt.
it's like so much of the stuff that I do is about like including people and having people feel like family.
That's
you know,
nice.
and it's like, and you know, and trying to make a family. And so this is such a cool manifestation of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, when you're at the show, there's going to be a show in an hour and a half from now. And like, let's say the first night when you were here, and you look out on the stage, and you think of, you know, you created this, it was on paper. Now suddenly you look on stage and it's live. What is that feeling like for you inside when you see it come to life like that?
It's I mean, it's the greatest. It's truly, it's like why I do this. You know, I'm a writer I'm a writer in order to get in a room and work with people. You know, I'm not a writer who's like, oh, I'm just happiest when I'm alone in a cabin, you know, scribbling on a notepad in silence. I'm a writer who's like, oh, I have to write this stupid thing so that I can then get in a room and collaborate with other human beings.
Right.
And the ultimate collaboration in a piece of theater is with the audience. You know, it's like if you perform a show for no audience, is it really a show? Like, I don't know, but I happen to like that exchange of energy. You know, and so for me to get to sit in an audience with other human beings watching this thing, it's like, it's the coolest thing in the whole world.
Right.
But you know, I only start doing that after the show opens, because up until the show opens, I can still make changes. And so until the moment comes when the show is frozen, which is when you can't make changes anymore, I'm like a madman. Like that's when I'm like, I'm working, I'm here to work, I'm here to like do everything I possibly can to make this thing as good as I think
It is
deserves
really
to be, you know?
good. It's so entertaining.
Thanks.
Are you surprised sometimes? Like I didn't realize it was so funny. I mean, the songs are terrific.
Thanks.
The
Yeah.
dancing is great. The story is awesome. But it's
Yeah.
very funny.
Thanks.
Do you get surprised that some of the stuff that the audiences laugh at, that you thought something else might be funnier, but it was this that they thought was funny?
Yeah, it's always a surprise, and I love to, if I'm lucky enough to have a run of a show, I love seeing it a whole bunch of times. You know, like I love seeing how different audiences react, and it's always a surprise. And there'll usually be like 2 or 3 things in every show that the audience will always laugh at, And then I always feel like the rest of it is like a grab bag, you know, and my favorite thing is like when, you know, if I'll see a show on a Friday night and something gets a big, huge laugh, then on Saturday I'll be like waiting for it. It's like, oh, here it comes, and then it doesn't come, you know. And it's like, oh my God, what happened? And then they left something else, and that's, you know,
It's live theater.
it's live theater. That's like truly the, you know, it's cheesy, but that's the magic of live theater. It's you, even if you wanted to make every show the same, you couldn't possibly, because you know, it's like if one light bulb is a little brighter on tonight than it was last night, that changes the whole entire thing.
Yes.
I think that's the coolest thing. So yeah, I love it.
So, at the end of a show, you just finished watching the show, and the last song from Punk Rock Girl came on,
Yeah.
and the echoes from the standing ovation have faded away.
Yeah.
What do you want the audience to feel as they leave the Argyle Theater?
Oh, I want them to feel joy. I want them to feel happy. I want them to feel like they identified with different types of people whose life experiences are really different from their own. I want them to feel like they saw themselves in characters they never thought they'd see themselves in. I want them to feel like, oh, maybe I kind of like punk music. You know, that's something that, it's like I want the show to be something that people who love musicals can love. You know, there's no part of this that's like, this is a musical for people who hate musicals. It's just so not. I would hope that, you know, people who might not be into musical theater could come to the show and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I really, you know, I love musicals, and so I'm writing for other people who like love and appreciate musical theater. And so, you know, it's something with a title like Punk Rock Girl. I think sometimes, you know, at a certain time in my life, I would have been like, I don't know, is this gonna like try to be too cool for school? But I hope that people who are like traditional fans of musical theater can come and be surprised by how much
The audiences
like
have been loving it on the way
been
out.
loving it,
They tell
yeah.
us, they just love it. Joe, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
man.
being on Marty's Corner.
Yeah, of course.
We want to tell everybody we're playing straight through to Sunday, February 27th. Whether you're a fan of Joe Iconis, whether you're a fan of rock and roll from the 80s, 90s, and 2000, a fan of theater, a fan of awesome storytelling, whatever it is, this is a world premiere. It can't be missed. It's a rock and roll party and a show rolled up into one, Joe.
Yeah,
So
I buy that.
we can't wait to see you all here at the Argyle Theater.